Angry Joe Show.
Yes, welcome to the latest issue of the Angry Joe Show. I'm Angry Joe, and this is what was his friends called? Was it other Joe? He had another Joe. He had another dude called Joe.
What other Joe? It's like Small Joe or something. I haven't seen that. I haven't watched
A small Joe.
Small Joe.
I haven't watched. Does he still make videos?
I don't know.
I'm literally gonna find out right now.
He must do. He must do like Activision, but Xbox buys Activision.
This is fucking bullshit.
It's Oh yeah, he's still making 17 hours.
Oh my god. Where's this music coming from? I don't want music. Yeah, he did one on. He just does like weird ones. He still does. It looks like he still does the same thing where he like dresses up though. He can't help himself to like not dress up. He can't just like do a normal review. He has to. I find dudes like that really funny because it's like they clearly haven't realized that YouTube as a platform is completely like changed, or like the culture around like video essay, like long form review and it's completely different now. But he's like, no, I'm gonna keep sticking to my exact formula. I'm gonna dress up like Superman to review the new Superman and Lois season. I'm going to dress up like Master Chief and play the theme tune because the thing was, the worst part of his videos was always the skits.
Yeah, I always used to skip those when I watched them.
It was always the skit. I mean, sometimes I feel the same about Scott the Woz. I like Scott the Woz's videos, but when he gets it, like when he's just talking and shit, is fine. When he gets his friends involved, like his geeky ass friends who like, I'm just like, bro, your humor does not work on this level. Like to be making an entire fucking like trying to make a sketch show out of this. So yeah, I'm just like, all right, Scott, get back to talking about Mario, okay? Get back to what you used to.
Well, I mean, you're saying this, but like his Halo Infinite review has almost 9,500,000 views. It's pretty close to 1 million.
What, Angry Joe?
Yeah, like almost 1 million views on
that. I can't believe that. I remember watching like every single review he put out.
Yeah.
I remember him putting up the Rambo game, and I got like a message from you being like, yo, the Rambo game rocks, and then I watched his review. The guys who made the Rambo game, didn't they make the new Terminator game?
Yeah, and apparently that's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm really interested in getting it, maybe, because apparently it's fine as a game, but like it's pretty decent overall.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and it looks kind of cool, and I'm just like, yeah, I might check it out at some point.
Yeah. Those guys are making a RoboCop game, and I think that'll be pretty cool.
Are they actually? Has that been like officially?
Yeah, it was announced last year. It's not coming till next year, but like,
oh shit,
a AA RoboCop game. That sounds pretty fun.
I like RoboCop a lot.
It's a great movie. I haven't seen any sequels, but
me neither. But the first movie is just such a good time. And I love the ending as well. He just like kills the bad guy, and the credits just roll, and it's like great. I didn't need any more. But what I find fascinating about the original RoboCop and what they kind of failed with the remake is like there's so much like there's a lot of hidden commentary on like, I don't know, capitalist structures and like consumerism and shit in RoboCop, which
hidden. I feel like it's like very blatant, especially with TV ads.
No, you're right. I mean, but in the sense that it doesn't it's not trying to be deep about it. It's just like giving you those tools and being like, this is the world, and it's like making its own statement in that way. Whereas I feel like the remake just tried to like really like, isn't this bad? Isn't this awful? I don't really remember the reboot, to be honest.
No, I watched it in cinemas and I can't remember a single thing
about
it. I was a diehard fan.
Yeah, no. The only reason I watched the original RoboCop was I really liked him in Mortal Kombat 11, and I was like, I want to watch the movie because this is cool, and I loved it. And I've got like the Arrow video like collector's set of the first one up there, so it's like I really liked it. It rocks, bro. There's real good practical effects and stuff. Anyway, so this is a podcast thing, and we'll have spent the first 5-10 minutes talking about Angry Joe and RoboCop. But this episode is mainly just going to be about the highlights of 2021 in video games, and hopefully what the highlights will be of 2022. So what are you playing at the moment, Harrison?
I'm at the moment I'm playing a Skyward Sword. I'm like pretty far into it. I'm on the 6th dungeon now.
Yeah,
and I'm having a hell of a time with that.
At what point is that sixth dungeon?
It's the second fire dungeon.
Okay.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of fun. All the sword play is just like incredibly just
Yeah.
like it's
It,
very visceral. Just having to flick the stick. I'm not playing with the Joy Cons. I imagine it'd be a lot more even more fun with that. And even playing with a pro controller, and even when you're aiming with, like the bow and arrow, like still using like the gyro to
mm.
aim a bit and like get perfect shots is a lot of fun. There's also just a very very pretty game.
It is the art style is gorgeous, and
Really.
a lot of what struck me about it, and I don't know if you've gotten to it yet, so I won't spoil it, but there's a lot of big moments where it's like there's a great amount of scale, and like you're like, holy shit, how did they pull this off on a Wii? Because there's some like Shadow of the Colossus type shit, and you're like, how was this done? Like this is in like what the fuck? But also, yeah, I think that sort like I tried every different control scheme on that, and the best way to play it is with the thumbstick because like the Joy-Con is fun, but like there is something Metal Gear Rising like taps into the brain with the right stick. Like it's like it all just becomes about precision. And honestly, still not spoiling anything, but in some of those later fights, it's so precise. Like the whole combat system is about absolute precision with the sword play. That it's like, how did anyone finish this on a Wii? Like how? Because if it fucks up once, you're like dead, and it's like I don't know how they did it.
You must slow that down. Also, like some of those dungeons are just really, really inventive and fun.
Mm.
Like there's that one I just did the dungeon on the pirate ship in the desert.
That's such a good
I
dungeon.
like shoot like the crystal from like from underneath the deck.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's a lot of fun.
I when I finished Skyward Sword, I was like, okay, I like this more than Breath of the Wild. Um, and that's a very controversial opinion. But like Wind Waker is still my favorite, but there is something real special in Skyward Sword that it really just shouts like maybe it was just released at the wrong time. Or like
Yeah,
it was just like because at the time it was like there was fatigue with like Zelda games that it was always about three and it was like, oh, we need something else. But now it feels like a breath of fresh air.
yeah, especially after Breath of the Wild, and it's yeah, because also with the HD remaster, they cut down on a lot like the all of the like forced interactions with like other people.
Oh yeah, you could. It's all optional now if you want to interact. Yeah,
I think that just makes the game like go like flow a hell of a lot better.
yeah, it's real fun and like the just flying around and like finding little secrets and then diving into the next little plane to go and do an event. It's real good. Skyward Sword is really good.
Yeah, I'm enjoying that. Yeah. What about you?
I'm currently playing Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart finally. And I am utterly impressed to the point where I'm like, maybe I should have played it and finished it before we recorded this because I'm like, it might be in the conversation for the best of last year. It's so good. It's just an incredibly polished adventure platformer, and the thing that like lacks in a lot of the like in the other Ratchet game I played or the other ones they played on like PS2 and stuff is like the actual core like combat part of it is more like a necessary evil to get to the fun adventure rather than like something you look forward to doing. Like you have cool weapons and stuff, but it's just like, okay, let's get through it. Whereas with the triggers and everything, like there's like, I think there's over 10 guns right in the game, and every single gun has its own mechanic with the triggers, has its own like way of operating, has its own effect on the enemies. And it just means that all the combat scenarios are just constantly like full of variety, super colorful, like gorgeous. And also it's the first game I've played with my new TV where it has like 120 hertz mode. And I don't know how to describe it, but it's like it's so responsive that it's like I'm pressing jump and it's happening at the same time that the thought has come into my head. Because there's really no delay, and it's just like, wow, okay, this feels super responsive, super clicky. The combat's great, it looks amazing, and I'm very much having a great time with it. Yeah, I can't.
Are you enjoying it more than 2016 one?
Yeah, definitely. I the 2016 one was fine, but like clearly they were retrofitting a game around a film release, and so the actual narrative sucks and it doesn't really fit. Whereas this one, it just feels curated from the ground up, and like it's got some really cute characters and just like great animation. One of the things that just blows my mind is just the animation work. Like to get into like your ship that you're traveling through the game, you just jump into it and then there's like a cute little animation where they sit in their seats and put their seatbelts on, and then it comes up with the menu to like move to the next place, and then it's instant to get there. And it's like it's just the fact that they're doing it like in like a real beautiful animation way, rather than doing it like you press a button and it comes up with a menu of places you can go, and then it's like it's all interactable and everything feels really, yeah, just feels great. So I'm having a really great time with that. I'm also playing Mind Scanners.
Mind Scanners, what's that?
Yeah, I got it on Game Pass. And I was like, the art style looked interesting. So tried it out. It's basically Cyberpunk Papers, Please, where you play. It's like in a future where everybody on planet Earth has like cyborg like implants, and so when they have mental health issues, you as a mind scanner are sent out to like go and be their therapist or like administer like treatment to them. And it's the same as Papers, Please, where if you don't do if you do the treatment like really quickly, you're going to be able to make more money in the day, but it will probably take away people's personalities, and you'll like make them devoid of personality. But if you spend more time doing it, you'll give that person a better quality of life, but you might not be able to finish it and make the money for that day to pay your like rent and like look after your like family. So it is very much like Papers, Please.
That sounds really cool.
And the art style is great, and it's basically just like, it's like you listen to them talk, and then you as a player, you like go through multiple choices and diagnose them with what you think they've got. And then once you figure that out, you can declare them sane or insane. And if they're insane, you can administer treatment to them. And the treatment is just like a series of mini games. Like it's just like move the dial to this, or like, you know, it's just really clever. And I just tried it out because I wanted to try it out, and I was really, really impressed with it.
That sounds like that sounds really cool.
It's real cool.
Like the interrogations in those movies.
Yeah, it's worth checking out. I think it's on everything.
Okay.
But it's real cool, and just kind of unique way of telling that sort of story. So yeah, I like it a lot. So Harrison, 2021 was a year of, it was like a 7 out of 10 in terms of entertainment overall.
Maybe in terms of video games. I feel
in terms of like, I don't think we got anything this year that I'd be like, yeah, that's a knockout masterpiece, 10 out of 10 kind of thing. That's like a prestige game. Like, I don't feel like we got that really.
No, because you brought it up the other week when you saw we said like the only like third-person action adventure game that came out last year.
Yeah. And it was like, it's interesting that like premium third-person action adventure type experience was sort of reserved for that. I guess Ratchet and Clank feels that as well, but it's like, if we're talking about like that typical prestige that normally gets it, right? You're talking about things like, I'd say Spider-Man, but like Spider-Man, like God of War, like Last of Us, like Ghost of Tsushima, even like those things that have a little bit more like weight and prestige to them just in their presentation. Halo was really cool, but like I finished the battle pass of Halo, and I'm not even sure if I'll ever go back to it now.
Really?
I'm just like, I sort of sit down and they have like events going on, and it's like I can earn, and I can't be bothered. Like I played enough of it that I'm like, I got the idea. I think I put 150 hours into it. I'm like, I understand what this is, and I'm good for now. The campaign was fine, but it was one of those things where I was expecting it to be like a finale, and instead it feels like the start of a new trilogy or something.
Yeah,
and it's like, ugh.
Because wasn't it what they said? Wasn't it what they said that the Halo Infinite was meant to be like a game that's going to be built upon?
Yeah,
instead of just
supposedly, yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't feel like there weren't like many like knockout games last year. Like,
no,
I mean, like, I didn't play too many like new games last year. Like, really, I only played 3, but I do feel like stuff like even stuff like Hitman, which at the beginning of the year was like talked about quite a lot, it was kind of like fairly quickly forgotten.
I know. I've seen some videos recently where people have said it, declared it as like the game of the year. Come out the last couple of days or so.
Or even like I've been playing It Takes Two with my girlfriend a lot, and and that's like really, really fun.
It's really good.
But like it's fantastic. But like it's still like not the kind of thing that kind of like makes me like really take notice. I want to and stop whatever I'm doing just to play it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like It Takes Two is great, and it's like fantastic, and it has like Mario Odyssey levels of constantly changing things up to keep it fresh, and it's just a great time. The weakest element of it, really, I think, is kind of the narrative, but like whatever, it does the job. It's there to push you from one thing to another. I think it finally clicked when you have that thing with the squirrels and you're like doing Street Fighter shit on top of a moving airplane, and I was like, this is really cool, because it goes from stuff like that straight to like Diablo, like the next level and things. It's nuts.
I've only got to that. I've only just got to that Diablo bit. My girlfriend kind of got immediately confused and wanted to stop playing, but it was fine.
I think I played it with someone. Try not to name names, but I think we finished it in like 2 or 3 sittings because we were just both just like, this is pretty cool. Yeah. But it is a hell of a time. But yeah, it's again, it's where is that sort of, I guess it relies on like the premium narrative experience, right? It's the idea of like the single player game that really just like connects on all levels, has polished gameplay, has a polished story, feels complete in itself, and is done. And it's like, wow, what a piece of art that is, right? I don't feel like we've had that this year. I think a lot of people would have, for some fucking reason, people were saying Deathloop was that this year. I can't stand Deathloop. I think I don't like it. I pushed to finish it because I was like, surely I'm missing something. And my opinion is just that it's like the world's empty. The enemies offer no challenge and can be killed. Like the weapon you get when you start is just as effective as the one you get at the end. And there's really no incentive to use any of the powers to like sneak around or do anything, because you can just run in with a shotgun. And it's like, and also the story isn't interesting. Like the story and the voice acting is probably the best part of the entire game. I just wish it was in a different game. Because the game itself sucks, and it's way worse than Dishonored is. Dishonored is great. Dishonored is fantastic, and like each of its systems like complement each other to like give you an experience that you have to do things certain ways to like work it out. And Dishonored is great. This is not Dishonored. This is just like it's Dishonored without anything that makes it fun or interesting or challenging. It's just like shoot people. So yeah, I don't like Dishonored. I traded that shit in and I went and bought Metroid Dread. And I had a much better time with Metroid Dread. Metroid Dread was a pretty good video game.
I think it's like playing that like immediately after Hollow Knight in a weird way kind of made me appreciate Hollow Knight more, but it's still really, really excellent.
Yeah, it's weird because I played Hollow Knight this year as well. Yeah. And side by side, I think Hollow Knight is the better game.
But I feel like it's fairly different things.
They are. But in the sense of them being Metroidvanias, though, like, I don't know. There's something real special about Hollow Knight. I like Hollow Knight a lot.
Yeah, no, I found Hollow Knight a bit more involving, but no, Metroid Dread's really good, but I do feel like sometimes just getting along the map, like just getting around the map with those elevators takes a bit too long.
Yeah.
But it's but like the actual movement of like sliding and going to a morph ball and then jumping on walls.
Well, I think the thing was I played Metroid straight after something like going through Returnal again, and having that be like a PS5 game that revolves around like SSD super fast loading and all the rest of it, and going to Metroid where it was like you're waiting in an elevator for maybe a minute sometimes. And I was just like, yeah, we need an upgrade on this Switch. Like it looks cool, but like this has taken a long time.
Yeah.
But yeah, Metroid is cool for sure. In terms of the ones that stick out to me in my memory, Disco Elysium Final Cut is the one that's like surprised me, because I don't know if it officially came out this like 2021, but the PS5 version of the Final Cut definitely did this year. So that's what I played it on. And looking at it, I was like, okay, this is one of those experiences that everyone who likes it thinks is amazing, but I'm going to try it and I won't like it because it's just not my thing. Instead, I sat with it and I finished it and I spent 20 hours on it and like finished the whole way through. And I thought it was unbelievable. I do suggest playing it because I think the best way to view it is as if it's like a visual novel with a lot of like interactable elements and like changeable elements. And I tried to do a second playthrough, and what I realized was it's not an RPG in the sense that like your choices are going to drastically change the story, but your choices will drastically change your own character's like character arc. And I found that quite interesting. It was like it's like you can be a complete disaster, like drug addict. But apparently like 80% of players on their first playthrough always decide to like clean him up and like try and make him be a good police officer, because it's just inherently while you're playing it, you're like, you feel a degree of protection and you're like, oh, I guess I'm gonna look after him, because you just want to make it a better narrative. So the character arc becomes about that.
Yeah, so it's kind of what we're conditioned to do with characters.
Yeah. But it's a real interesting game, and I'm interested to see what that studio does next, because I think if they just put like a rudimentary turn-based combat system in, I'm just saying, suddenly you get a much more filled out RPG, because there is no combat at Disco Elysium, it's all dialogue. So it's like, if you just do that, it means that there's a gameplay aspect that keeps it fuller. That's all I think. But I wasn't playing it thinking, man, I wish I could fight people right now, because that's not the point of the game. But it's like, I think they're super close to something.
You just want something like that.
Yeah, something unbelievable. But for what it is, I think it's like the closest to perfection you could get with that format. So it's real good. What comes to mind when you think about highlights of 2021?
Honestly, like the I realized I've actually only played 2 new games this year, or 3. If you count It Takes Two. But no, I think my favorite game of the year is definitely Resident Evil Village. I mean, like,
it's gotta be, right?
It's 3, so you know.
Yeah.
But, no, I just like what I always come back to is just I remember how much fun I was having the first time I played it through, and like each successive time I played it, I still had like a really enjoyable time just going through that village, like getting quicker and quicker, beating it in under 2 hours, using like a stupidly ridiculous handgun with infinite ammo. And like, I love that shit. And Mercenaries is really great.
Yep.
Big time.
Resi Village is. I watched a video recently where I was sort of going along with the guy's thoughts, and he hated Deathloop, and I was like, all right. And he said the most disappointing game of the year was Resident Evil Village, and I just turned the video off because I was like, I can respect your opinion, but to me, it's such a fantastic culmination of like modern Resident Evil.
Yeah.
It's not a perfect game, but in terms of as far as like Resident Evil games go, it's like amazing. And I agree. I remember the first time playing it, and I was almost just sitting there to myself and going like, I'm having a blast right now. Like, it was around the point where I got to the factory section, and there's like a new handgun that's like kind of automatic, and I was just like, bro, I'm loving this experience. And I do think it's a super polished, fantastic action horror game, right?
Yeah.
With pretty decent bosses, and like in terms of a Resident Evil game, right? What you really want is something that the first time round gives you great exploration, great like trees for like acquiring items and upgrades, and good boss fights, and then like a fine narrative to like tie it all together, right? And then what you want is that every subsequent playthrough becomes about how quickly can you like find an item, kill something, like how quickly can you kill a boss, and it does all of that perfectly.
Yeah, and I think it's one of the best ones for like I think it's one of the best ones playing again and again and again.
Yeah, totally. And as someone who like I still say that Resident Evil 7 is my favorite of the franchise. Looking at 8, it's like it's so much a sequel to 7 that I was in love with it automatically because of how much I love 7. It relies so heavily on 7's existence that I think it just works as an actual sequel. I'm very interested to see what they go with it. There's a lot of rumors that they are making Revelations 3, which will be Switch exclusive.
Okay.
Maybe. Sure. I can't say that Revelations are my favorite parts of the franchise, but
no. Revelations 2 is pretty good. I like
Revelations 2. I don't understand the love for Revelations 1. I think when it came out, it was like, oh, thank God we're actually doing something that's sort of spooky.
Yeah.
But like compared to like what we're getting now, I'm just like, this is poor and like cheap and shit. Yeah. And like the story's not good and the combat's not good and nothing's fun about it. Whereas also Resident Evil 8 being like playing it on the PS5 and like having that experience of playing it, like, you know, big old resolutions, big old frame rates, big old trigger, like adaptive trigger shit. I was just like, I'm having a blast. I've really changed my mindset towards games in general over the last year. It's like, I don't necessarily want things that, I'm looking for things that respect my time, and that for every amount of time I'm putting into it, I'm getting something out of it that I'm enjoying. And I understand that like not every game has to be inherently enjoyable, but I think that's like, I think it's a false thing to perpetuate. Like people would say that Last of Us 2 isn't inherently enjoyable, but I think the presentation and acting and the gameplay makes it all inherently enjoyable to go through.
Yeah, the action and just living in and just like walking and living through like this like very
narrative,
hard like game that's had a hell of a lot of work hours put into it. That's quite enjoyable, just like walking through this I guess like this like world of finely crafted details.
Yeah, totally.
And going into like these great really well made action action scenes. A lot of like, it's a very fun game.
So it's like I played both of the Nier games this year. And when I played Replicant, I was putting up with it because I knew that it supposedly got better every time you finished it, and there was a massive surprise when you did the like all the endings. And there is, and it did feel worth it by the end of it. But I did ultimately feel like it's a really weird choice to keep so much content that is actually of great quality behind 30 hours or so of repeating the things you've already finished.
Yeah, that feels like such a strange choice.
Yeah, it's also really frustrating. So when I started playing Automata and the second playthrough started and it was like kind of insinuating it was going to be the same thing, I was like, I don't want to do this again. Like I don't want to sit through this thing and play it for 30 hours just to get a slightly different cool 30-minute ending and then it's over. And I'm like, I was like, I can't be fucked. And I even said that to you, and I messaged the guy who interviewed me from the Super Rare Games in London, because he was a massive fan of Nier, and I was like, bro, am I missing something? Because you said this is your favorite game, everybody who's played it says it's amazing. What is happening? What, like, because I really don't want to sit here and just play through. And he was like, just finish the second playthrough, and then just sit with it. And I was like, okay, fine. And I was wrong. Nier Automata rocks.
Okay, you changed your mind.
It rocks, but it's the same frustration I have with the first game, where it's like, why would you hide, about 10 hours of new content behind someone having to play through what is essentially an identical story twice? Why do that? Why not just make the first experience a tied-in narrative, and then once you start the second playthrough, because it's not really a spoiler, but it's like you play the first playthrough, it kind of doesn't really end, and you're like, okay, for the second playthrough, it gets to the same point, it doesn't really end, and you go, okay, the third playthrough is the second half of the game.
For a whole second, really?
It's longer than the first half. It's longer than both of the first playthroughs. You play as new characters. There's brand new storylines that continue the narrative from the other two games that actually wrap everything up in finality, multiple endings, new combat stuff, new things that keep the game constantly engaging. And it's like, why hide that behind having to push through that initial break? Because that's what's frustrating to me. Because it's like, come on, you're so close, because it's what is on the other side of that is so good. And there are some fucking kaiju scale mech battles and shit that are only 20 hours in. And I just think, why make me sit through the most mundane part of it just to get to the great shit?
And just wish it was like that was actually just the second half of the game. And
it just kept going. But I get it, and I get the whole point of doing it is that, and I almost think that maybe the way those games are meant to be played is you finish it and then you have a break and play something else, and then eventually you go, oh, I'll play the next campaign on there, and it's slightly different, and you go, oh, okay, rather than sitting there and just like working through it. But then it defeats that point because it's literally the second half of the game.
I think you just said working through it. I don't
Yeah.
think you can be working for a video
No, no. And so I think Automata is great. I think it lacks depth in its gameplay still, but I do think that second half is fantastic. It's like the first half is cool. That second half is utterly fantastic, and it just frustrates me that it's hidden behind so much.
Yeah,
you know, that's
a
yeah.
big thing to ask of a player.
It is, but I did finish it, and I finished all the endings, and I thought it was a worthwhile experience that did feel profound in its own way. It is good. We mentioned it briefly, but like Guardians of the Galaxy has stuck out for me because like I said, it did feel like it filled in that spot of a third person action game with a good narrative, and the writing's pretty great, the gameplay's fine, and like the story's pretty good, and visually it looks fantastic. My issue with it is it's a Square Enix game, so it lacks an amount of polish that you would normally get in like a first party Sony game.
Right.
There's a lot of bits that are a little bit rough around the edges, characters like doing T-poses and shit occasionally, like just stuff like that here and there that it just makes you go, yeah, I can tell this isn't like a full-on premium package, but it's got enough cool shit going on, enough like Marvel franchise, like Marvel Universe like references and shit that it's like, this is cool. It's really worth playing. I would suggest it.
I'll definitely play that. I want to play that. It looks fun.
But it's like, it is that thing of like where there's a little bit of rushing here, where like there's a part where you're like walking through a ceremony and they clearly didn't have enough time to animate it. So they kind of just have like maybe 10 people stood either side of you, kind of just clapping and going, whoa. And it's like, this just feels really cheap and awkward.
Yeah.
It's just stuff like that. But otherwise, it's like a really, really great game.
Yeah, and that's the thing that kind of separates. I feel like a lot of games like that from first party Sony games, because you're not going to get that in God of War Ragnarok. No. That's going to be a heck of a game.
I can't wait for God of War. We'll get onto that, but like, yeah, because it's just not going to be there because they don't do that shit.
There'll be a full plate meal and everything's going to be garnished properly.
Oh yeah, bro, it's going to taste so good. And it won't outstay its welcome either. It's going to be like a delicious like amount of food. But yeah, so I think Guardians of the Galaxy is a really positive part of this year. It surprised me because I think initially when you see it and you see Square Enix and Marvel, and you instantly just think of Avengers and you go, I don't want to fuck with this. But it is infinitely better than anything that is accomplished in Avengers. It's like, it almost makes you think about Avengers and go, man, maybe they should have just made like a great single player game with Avengers.
A 10-hour co-op game.
Not even that. Just do a single player Avengers game where you could switch between the characters and don't make each of them that deep.
Yeah.
It would have been cool.
Because in theory, like the Avengers game, like the one that came out, should be the more complex one out of those two, out of a single player game and like that. But no, each character controls the same in that game.
Yeah,
like
completely. Did you try Spider-Man?
No, I only played it for
shit sucks. They didn't add anything to him content-wise. They just got a couple of cutscenes, and then they also made him like a social media influencer.
Yeah, doesn't he have like unlockable text logs to read?
Yeah, I think so. But then his outfits aren't great. Like there's so many outfits to pull from for Spider-Man, and all of them are just like the same shit as every other one, where it's like color swap.
Sucks.
It sucks. That game sucks.
Yeah, I gave up playing that Black Panther DLC after like minutes. I was like, this is the same shit.
Black Panther was the nail in the coffin, I think, for me, where it was like, I was looking at it, I was playing it, I checked in on myself, I was like, am I having a good time? The definitive answer was no. And I just went, okay, I'm done with this.
Yeah.
I did a video on my YouTube channel, which wasn't very good because I was just rambling, but it was like talking about the Hawkeye one, the Hawkeye DLC, and I was just like, okay, this is shit. If this is all we can expect from this game going forward, I'm like, this is in trouble. No one's gonna care. No one is gonna care. And then the Black Panther thing felt like the point for it to redeem itself, and it just did not.
No, it's more of the same. But
It just really feels like they haven't listened to anything that people have said. It's like ultimately they should.
No, sorry, you continue.
I was just going to say, like, I think they should have just like whatever plans they had, they should have just been like, right, let's rethink this, and how can we rework this to be engaging? There is really simple ways to make all of the loot engaging, in that you just make costumes and things part of the loot table.
No, I think I do think this is going to be the last year we'll see new stuff for the game because it hasn't proved profitable, and there's not really any excitement around it at all. Like they put in Spider-Man, like the biggest superhero, like his new movie is like the 5th highest grossing movie ever.
Yeah,
like pandemic, and it's mad, made $1.5 billion. But like they put him in the movie, they put him in the game, and still nobody gives a
nobody gives a fuck. But also, it's like even if it was a Sony exclusive, bro, they should have added something Spider-Man-y.
Yeah.
Just a little something, just a little like what every other character they put in a new boss fight with that's relevant to that character or that storyline, and they didn't do fucking shit.
Because they put out at the same time as a raid, but like I think the raid is still Black Panther related.
Yeah, it is.
So it's not.
I'm pretty sure the raid is just another thing where it's like you fight waves and waves of robots, and then you go to another room, and it's just hard because you take damage.
Oh, and there's like one small puzzle in it.
Yeah. I don't think they have that much depth at all to them.
No, I also don't really feel like I don't feel like Crystal Dynamics have probably had the chance to really fix the game that much because of how much new stuff they've had to make for the game. They haven't really had the chance to fully like build something from the ground up.
Yeah,
people actually want. I think.
Yeah, I don't know what they do at this point. I think they just have to kind of cut their losses.
Yeah, well, I mean, apparently, Crystal Dynamics are helping out on that new Perfect Dark game.
Okay.
I imagine they're cutting down on that eventually.
It must be real sad for Crystal Dynamics, right? Because they didn't even get to do the last Tomb Raider game because they were working on Avengers. So Eidos Montreal took over on that. And then Eidos Montreal, after finishing Shadow, went and worked on Guardians of the Galaxy. So the studio that was sort of known within Square Enix for doing like cool third-party single-player narrative experiences was then like shouted into doing that. And I'm sure they were passionate about it at one point, but they really missed the mark with Avengers. And when I started playing it and I was playing the campaign, I was like, okay, there is something here. This is fun and this is interesting. And then as soon as I like halfway through the game, it just becomes like the live service stuff. And it's like, you lost me. Because the best missions in the Avengers game are the opening mission and the last mission.
Yeah. There's a scripted fun missions.
Yeah. And it goes back to the whole thing that the best games are the ones that are linear polished experiences.
Yeah. Like I'm sure there's a good way to do an Avengers live service game, but like it's not like that.
It's not that. I mean, ultimately, the first thing you need to do is make the loot interesting, right? An RPG loot-based game doesn't work if the loot isn't interesting.
Yeah.
And Destiny manages to do that in spades, but they real fucked it with Avengers. You get new bones for Hulk.
That's good.
I'm gonna get legendary bones for Hulk.
I'm sorry for fucking Iron Man. Who wants that shit?
No, I do not care. I'm done with Avengers. I don't see myself installing it again because Spider-Man.
Well.
Huh?
Like 100 gigabytes.
Yeah, well. Spider-Man is like the only reason I was ever going to go back to it, and I don't care. I'm done. I'm done. I played 20 minutes and I was like, yeah, this sucks, bro. Why would I play that? I can go play Miles Morales.
Yeah, same thing, but infinitely better.
Miles Morales rocks, and the fact that like Miles Morales was outselling Call of Duty Vanguard in December on PS Store is nuts.
Yeah,
that's a year-old single-player exclusive game outselling Call of Duty. That is nuts because of the power of No Way Home and people wanting to play Spider-Man.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So what stuff are you looking forward to this year?
I don't know. I still got two more to talk about from last year.
Oh, sorry.
So Kenna is really good.
Yeah.
Kenna is like a super polished AA Zelda ripoff, basically, and it's the best new Zelda game we've had in years. Because it's like everything you love about stuff like Skyward Sword, or it's like it's just that polished and like real focused, done in like 8 hours, really beautiful to play, great boss fights, and I could not stress how good the boss fights are. Surprisingly, very, very challenging. And just great. It's great. I can't. There's nothing more to say about it. It's worth playing. It's just fantastic. Everything you think it's going to do, it does, and the story has a depth to it that is surprising and a bit grim, and kind of still like fills in with the tone. So it's good. It's really worth playing. And then after that is Returnal, which I think if I hadn't tried to go for the platinum on Returnal, I think I would be thinking about it as like a masterpiece. Well, maybe not masterpiece, but like I think I'd be thinking about it like, wow, that was amazing. What happened though was, because the trophy the platinum when it first came out was super tedious, I tried to get it and I got frustrated, and now my memories are more about like the frustration and like getting pissed off with how like tedious and like noticing the cracks in the game and shit. Whereas the first time I played it through, I was just really impressed. It's just like the first time I played through, I was just like, wow, this is just like a super polished, really interesting narrative. Like it's more like it's got more in common with like Titan than it does with like, I don't know, Alien. I don't know. Just in terms of like the like the absurdity of some stuff of it, or like the that's not the best reference, but like
I was gonna say, is that how you pronounce it? Titan? I say
it is. It is.
Oh, okay.
I was saying Titan, and then I heard the director talk about it, and I went, yeah, Titan. That's a great film. But yeah, it's got a lot more. It's very abstract. It reminds me a lot more like Alan Wake maybe than it does like, like Alien. It's a lot more abstract and a lot more weird, and some really interesting ways of handling the idea of like death, like time loops and death and stuff. And it really challenging but fair, and some great boss fights as well. But yeah, I do think it comes back to the same thing of, if I hadn't gone to go for the platinum, I think I'd be thinking about it a lot more fondly, which is still my issue with Red Dead 2, where I still haven't gone back to do another playthrough or anything for it, even though I think the game is amazing, simply because all my brain can fill itself with is maybe 5 straight hours of trying to find a chicken. Do you remember this?
Yeah, you're telling me that.
I messaged you and I was like, bro, I've spent like 3 hours trying to find this fucking chicken, and you were like, have you even like had a podcast going or anything? And I was like, no, I've just been sat trying to find this fucking chicken. And then eventually I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm not getting the platinum in this game. Fuck it. And I rode off a little bit down the road and I was just shooting everything. And then the fucking chicken I was looking for just turned up in front of the road, in the middle of the road. And it was like one of the last things I had to do. So I was like, for fuck's sake. I don't think platinuming Rockstar games is ever really worth it. This is my change of mindset. I don't think platinuming games normally is worth it. I've really changed my mindset on that, because you know me, and like I tend to be like, yeah, but I want to do it. If a game has a good set of challenges, I really like the game and I want to do it, I'll do it. Resident Evil 8 was a great platinum. Good stuff. Every single thing that you do in that game, you get a reward for. It feels worthwhile. Returnal was pointless because it was just finding collectibles, and I was like, you know what, I'm done with this. I platinumed Final Fantasy Integrate this year, and that is great. It's fucking great, and such a great platinum. So you have played Integrate, which is a new game this year, 2021.
DLC, I guess, but yeah, no, I love.
But
that.
Yeah, it's amazing. My friend Daisy at the moment, she played through the remake because she was curious. Now she's playing through the original.
Oh, nice.
And she's like just got the high wind. And she's like having a real good time. I told her months ago to play the original. She's like, I can't get into it because of the old graphics. I was like, oh, that's a shame. But then after playing Remake, I was like, okay, treat this as if it's a prequel to the game you just played. And then she was like, I'm loving it. I can't like stop playing it. So
I think Final Fantasy VII is my favorite game I played last year. The original.
Really, it's real good. It's so good.
Excellent.
But like platinuming that and integrate within like a month of each other, I was like, yeah, I really like this. I really like what this is. And I'm really excited for part 2 of that. I hope they announce it this year. It's gonna be a gourmet dish, boy. But
no,
that
I'm gonna pre-order that shit.
Remake and integrate is one of those rare cases where like that's a third-party Square Enix game that has so much polish on it.
Yeah, well,
There
that
ain't,
got all the budget.
there ain't an ounce of fat on that thing. It's like it's so much money. Every single corner you turn, every single strike of Cloud Sword, you're like, there was way too much money put into that, but I love it.
Sony must have paid them a hell of a lot to get that exclusivity.
I mean, the fact it's still not on Xbox is it's a bit. I mean, if you're a Final Fantasy VII fan and you're like an Xbox player, you're really getting shafted right now. But yeah. So in terms of quick honorable mentions, Hitman 3, of course, was fantastic. Honorable mention in the sake of like I played Alan Wake Remastered and I realized it wasn't as good as I remembered it was. But I am excited for the second one because it looks real cool, and the fact that they pitched it as an actual survival horror is real interesting to me. I don't remember much else of what came out last year. Metroid needs to be on. You know, I know we already spoke about it, but it does need to be acknowledged that, and I want Nintendo to make more things like that.
Yeah. The only thing that sticks in my head is the Quake remaster was really excellent.
Oh yeah,
Quake. Yeah, that's really good. And there's a hell of a lot of game in that.
Yeah,
and it's really pretty as well. And it plays like a really good resolution. It's got a great game feel. It's a good game.
Fuck yeah.
Like £8, and it's like just a really fun shooter.
Yeah, that's a good pick. And also just like already mentioned, Halo Infinite is good. It's really good, and it's a really good return to form. And I played through every single Halo campaign this year in 2021, and Infinite is real good. But it's a rare case where, you know me as someone who loves single player narratives, right? The multiplayer on Halo is so much better than the campaign is. The multiplayer just hits every single like bit of crack in your brain you want, and like it's just like fast, frenetic, really satisfying, fun cosmetic upgrades. Could have work on that, but like it's great, and it just completely excels everything that gets accomplished in the campaign. It's unfortunately that's just the case. But I think that's everything I got a desire to talk about.
Yeah, in terms of game.
I played a lot this year. I tried to play a lot.
Yeah, me too.
I tried to get through like my backlog and like actually get through things. And also like when I played Guardians, I looked at the trophy list and I was like, I could platinum this, and I went, I don't want to though. I want to play Kenna. And I've just decided to get to that headspace where I'm just like, yeah, I don't have a desire to platinum things as much anymore, as much as I just want to like have a new experience. And that's what I'm trying. Really, 2021 was the year of me realizing I don't have enough time to be platinuming things that I'm kind of like, that was cool. You know?
Yeah.
I could have sat and done it with Kenna, but I also realized like, maybe not.
Just leave on a good note.
And I had such a great time with what I had. And it's like, great, that's it. That's all I need to have. That's it. Yeah. And when I'm done with Ratchet, unless I suddenly feel like I want to do every single thing in it, because just for the hell of it, I won't. I'll probably uninstall it. And I might play Titanfall 2.
That's a good game.
I'll have a blast. I'm having a way better time with video games at the moment because I'm doing it like this.
That was also like when I was playing, like, what was it? Fucking Concrete Genie in February. I was like trying to get the platinum, but I just couldn't get this one last fucking collectible. I think I only have like one thing left to get on the game. I was like, I can't be fucking bothered.
Yeah.
So leave it alone.
It's way better to do stuff like that. But it's like the Dark Souls 1 like platinum I don't regret, because all that happened was I had played the game so many times over like a couple of years that I was at a point where I was like, I've basically done it. And that's just a case of the game itself was so polished and good that I was like, okay, I'm just going to finish it off. Have you played any Souls games this year? You played Bloodborne, didn't you? A little bit.
Yeah, I haven't played enough of Bloodborne. I'll try and finish it later this year.
Are you going to play Elden Ring?
I'm not going to play it when it comes out.
Okay.
Definitely not.
Fair enough.
I've got a hell of a lot of stuff to do for you.
That's fair. That's fair. I should probably be finding a job right now, but honestly, I'm kind of tempted to just go, fuck it, I'll just take February off and then I'll look. Because February is just like jam-packed full of stuff. Which leads us into the conversation about what we're looking forward to in 2022. So this start of the year is kind of nuts. There's so much coming. Starting with, I think on Friday, Pokemon Arceus comes out.
That's kind of interesting.
The reviews,
more interesting than like the other ones.
I saw a review that someone said it was like, hey, this is the most fun I've had with a Pokemon game in the last 10 years.
Yeah, I think I saw the same one.
And I was like, okay, interesting. The only Pokemon game I've ever played was Pokemon Sword. Right. And I wasn't really a fan. I didn't really get it. And I think it's one of those things where if you grew up with Pokemon, it's like it's inherent to who you are and like something you enjoy. But as someone who played their first Pokemon game when they were in like, you know, when they were 20, I'm like, I have no connection to it.
Well, to be honest, like I grew up, I did grow up playing Pokemon Yellow and Pokemon Leaf Green and Pokemon Pearl, but like I've just kind of grown off it. If you like keep playing into your teenage years, I think it's kind of hard to wean yourself off it.
Yeah.
But for me, I just kind of I left it behind. I do want to play Pokemon Snap. That looks pretty good.
Yeah, looks fun.
Yeah.
Problem with a lot of Nintendo stuff is I'm like, yeah, that's a cool game, but do I want to pay £50 for it?
Yeah, they never go down in price.
It's my issue with Sackboy is the lowest it seems to have gone is like 30 quid, and it's nearly it's over a year old game. And I'm like, hey, I just want to try this like kind of weird platformer, but I don't want to give you that much money for it.
I bet it'll go on PlayStation Plus this year.
All right, that's a good bet to have.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the first big thing of 2022, I think. And then straight away, I think 4th of February, we've got Dying Light 2. And I am excited for Dying Light 2 just because I really, really liked the first one.
Yeah.
And all the previews and things I've seen from it, and there's people who are talking about like review codes already. They've been talking about their impressions from playing the review code for like 10 hours or so. And it just seems super positive and like we're getting a super polished Mirror's Edge zombie game. And Dying Light is a funny one where I think it was meant to just come out and go like Dead Island, but because of the core gameplay being so fun, they managed to foster a really good community, and they ended up having.
They're still updating it with new stuff.
And they added a lot of like big expansion, like story expansion stuff to it, and it's all good. I don't think I've not really seen many people give a bad word about Dying Light, and so. What are you saying?
Oh no, saying your internet. It's just called the internet connection is unstable, but no, it's fine.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But like it's like the weakest part of Dying Light 1 is like the character and the narrative, and that seems to be what they're focusing on trying to improve this time round. So I'm excited for it, and if nothing else, it's going to be a game where I can make an electric machete and chop zombie heads off. It'll be a good time.
Sometimes
it'll be a good time. I'm pretty sure. 2 days after that, Sifu comes out, which is probably like, in terms of like chronological order, is like my most anticipated thing at the moment. Just because ever since that first PlayStation conference where they showed it off, I've just been captivated with it, and I can't wait to play it.
Just the punching of people and just like throwing them over counters and shit. That just looks like so much fucking fun.
And it looks really interesting, and just art design and all the rest of it. I'm just like, I'm ready for it. I want to play it. I've pre-ordered it on PlayStation Store, like, which I never do for digital games. Like I'm ready. Let's go. Let's play it. I want to play it. I want to play it. And then later in the month, next month, you've got Horizon coming out, I think on the 19th or the 18th. I'm not sure if I'll play Horizon. So what's that? Sorry.
No, you're not sure.
I'm not sure. I didn't really like the first one an amazing amount, but I have seen some bits here and there, and people are saying it's like a jump as big as like Uncharted 1 and 2, Uncharted 2.
That's a hell of a jump.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay. So we talking about this being like a real great experience? I don't know. There's also part of me that's like, hey, a real polished third party Sony game, it's like it's been a while. It's been a while. So part of me, but I also think, will I be even done with Dying Light by then? I don't know. And then straight after that, we have Elden Ring coming, which I oh boy, I do not know what's going to happen when that comes out. I might just hibernate for a week. It's actually been such a long time since we've had a dedicated new Souls experience. I mean, Demon Souls counts in its own way, but it is ultimately a remake.
Yeah.
You should play Demon Souls, by the way. It's real good.
Got it.
But it's I played the network test, and Elden Ring looks real promising. Playing it, I was like, this is something real special. I can't wait to get my hands on it and just explore, go nuts.
Crazy.
And that's that. Beyond that, it's sort of a mystery for the rest of the year in terms of like big things. Gran Turismo comes out in March, as does something else was just announced for March. Kirby's announced in March, and something else, something a bit like and Stranger of Paradise.
Oh yeah, that's coming out. That looks really full.
Have you seen? Have you?
I didn't really like the demo. I appreciate the aesthetic.
I liked the first demo a lot, and I finished it. The second demo I downloaded, and I was like, I don't need to play it. I get what the game is. Like, I'm either going to buy it or I'm not at this point. So I just uninstalled it. But they really. Have you seen the new trailer?
No, I haven't.
They just halfway through the trailer, I Did It My Way just kicks in by Frank Sinatra, and it's just like super like classic Final Fantasy like emotive bullshit, where it's just like it's super grand, and I'm just like, yeah, let's go. I want to play this now. I think because the gameplay is really fun, and it's basically just like them making a Souls like in the Final Fantasy universe. So I might play it. It really depends on at that time and in that moment if I feel like I want to. I can't really guarantee the moment, but I'm like, that trailer, I was like, yeah, let's fucking go, let's play it. Later in the year, we are apparently, definitely, hopefully getting God of War Ragnarok, which oh boy. Yeah, I mean, when 2018 came out, I remember before it came out, I was real excited for it. And that was at the point where I thought it was going to be like an 8 out of 10 like solid game. And then when the reviews started coming out, I was like, oh my god. I remember the lead up to that. It was about as painful as the lead up to Last of Us 2, where I was kind of just counting down the days. I was like, oh my god, hurry up. I want to play it. And it might be the same when Ragnarok gets its release date. I really hope Ragnarok gets a release date of like May or April.
May or April would be very good.
If it does end up coming September 30th, whatever. There's a lot. Oh, also, I forgot. Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection comes out on Friday. How could we forget?
Who cares about that? It's like nothing really new.
How could you forget, Harry?
4K.
If you spend £10, you get the upgrade, you get both games, and you get 60 frames per second in 4K, and you get free ticket to see Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg.
How can I turn that deal down?
I might do it just for the free ticket. I might just like, not that I want to see it, but like it looks awful. But the fact is, if I do it now, then I get the upgrade and the free ticket, and I get to go sit in the cinema and go, ooh. Who knows? Who knows what will happen on Friday? I don't know. How could I forget? How could I forget? It's a masterpiece. But yeah, so supposedly in the rumor mill, Naughty Dog are trying to do the same thing later on this year with The Last of Us TV show.
Yeah.
Which HBO have confirmed is coming this year.
Okay.
So apparently, around the same time as the TV show, Naughty Dog are going to release a double pack of Last of Us 1 and 2 for like 70 quid.
Well, like a full remake of the first game.
Yeah. And a director's cut of the second one for like 70 quid.
I mean, like, that's a lot of, I mean, I don't even know what this remake of Last of Us 1 is.
No, me either.
If it'll be any good or anything. But I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm not even sure, like, because it's not the core Naughty Dog studio making it, is it? It's like an external studio.
It is part of Naughty Dog. No, other studios just got a lot of other studios just got brought in to help work on it.
Okay, right, okay.
So that's why their team is so massive at the moment. Because they just like Sony just gave them a load of studios to get stuff done. So, I think we discussed this a million times, but like a remake of Last of Us 1 is the most unnecessary thing in existence, but I will buy it day one and I will play it.
I mean, I'm excited for it, I guess.
That's a simple fact. I mean, if they change some aspects of it, or they add some more things, or they just flesh things out, or they somehow make it so that it just ties into 2 a little bit more, and I'm all for it. And supposedly the Last of Us 2 edition that comes with it is called the Director's Cut. Whatever that includes, I have no idea. But if it actually does have substantial like new content, or like even just like a horde mode, like I'm interested in it.
Yeah, that'll be like a 40-hour package
of great quality narrative. Yeah.
There
is a universe where they fuck it up and the Last of Us 1 remake becomes like a real buggy mess. They changed the voice actor for Joel and it's just like a fucking travesty.
I mean, like, I'm not excited for it, but I'm more curious than excited.
Same as I am with the TV show for Last of Us. I don't feel excited. I'm like, I'm interested.
Yeah.
To see how you're going to handle this.
I'll watch it, but not.
I'll watch it, but I won't be happy about it. So yeah, God of War is definitely the highlight, and it's like you were saying. I know I trust Santa Monica now, and I trust Naughty Dog as well. To be fair, like I do trust Naughty Dog, but the whole Last of Us thing is just speculation until it's actually announced.
Yeah.
But God of War is coming this year because it was at some point it was meant to come last year.
Yeah, it was because when it was first announced, it said 2021.
I don't know whether that was just them trying to get PS5 sales up or what, but like
that always felt quite like
it's weird because it's basically coming out like a year after that now. Yeah. But I guess Halo did that and was fine. So, but yeah, I think God of War will hit either middle of this year or I guess at worst it'll come September. And it's the fact that is the finale to this part of the God of War saga, because I think everyone was kind of expecting this to be a trilogy.
Yeah.
And the fact that it isn't is amazing. And I'm super happy about it because it just means it's not like, oh, I can't wait for the next God of War game to continue the story. It's no, this is the end. And that's what's coming. And it's like, okay, this is it. This is the finale. And I think just from that small snippet of gameplay we've seen, I think they're just gonna expand on everything that worked in the first one and just really tie this narrative off. And I just know there's gonna be some fights in Asgard, like fighting Thor. Fucking bro.
I all over the place doing all this cinematic shit. That's what you want.
But also because Sony won't be after God of War 2018. If there were any budget limitations on 2018, they're gone now, because Sony would have looked at how well that one did commercially and critically and just gone, okay, whatever you want. Which I'm sure is kind of what Insomniac have with Spider-Man now, where they're like, it's making so much money for Sony that they're just like, okay, here, have the money, make it. Which
Miles Morales sold better than Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah.
It's like a hell of a moneymaker, and it's probably like it's a much cheaper game to make than Last of Us Part 2, I imagine.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. But it's Miles Morales as well, and Insomniac are just churning shit out. And the thing is, they're managing at the moment to do at least one title a year. And I don't think they'll hit it this year. Because they haven't said they are going to, but it's the fact they managed to churn out so much with such a high quality, and why am I saying one a year? It's basically been one every 2 years, and then they just had the Miles Morales and Ratchet at the same time because they had 2 studios. But I think Spider-Man 2 is going to rock next year. It's going to go nuts. In terms of other hopes for 2022, I am sincerely hoping that Dead Space comes at the end of this year.
An October release, you reckon? Maybe.
How fucking cool would that be?
Yeah, I'd love that.
But you know what would be the worst fucking nightmare for me?
What?
Is if God of War and Dead Space came out on the same day.
And you'd like internally combust. It's not
Uh,
good.
no, but not even just that. I'd be like, I'd have to then sit there and make the choice of which one I put in first, and I just be like, because you like I've said it. I've spoken to you for years about the fact that I wish they'd do something with Dead Space.
Yeah.
Like you could attest to this. Like
Yeah,
it's been
true.
years of me going, man, I really hope they do a remake. And you once were like, I'm pretty sure they'll do something before, within the next like 5 years. I didn't believe you, but you were right. I I love Dead Space. I'm an unbelievable man. And you've played the first two, you know why. You get it. They're so good. It's hopefully going to be a polished Frostbite engine Dead Space game with good production value, because EA are trying to diversify their portfolio after looking at how Anthem just collapsed and shit. They're trying to be like, okay, we'll try different shit now. Okay.
To be fair, I kind of feel like EA gets a bit of a bad rap in some ways, because especially in recent years, they've really tried like doing new things, like they did because It Takes Two, like that's
an EA game, yeah.
And outside their sports titles, I think they're fairly consistent with like turning out.
But it's ever since like I think Fallen Order as well, you've seen like a real change. Fallen Order is good. It's it just lacks a little bit of polish. But I'd much rather Dead Space come out next year and it be like ultra polished and ultra like finished completely. And I think the other aspect of it is they talked about in interviews is that things they're trying to incorporate is about making the remake feel like it's intrinsically tied into the whole universe a bit more than the original was, so that it feels like it's got a lot more, like it feels like a bigger part something. So I think if this first one does well, are they going to remake 2? I don't know.
Yeah, they just do a Resident Evil and remake the first 3.
I'd be up for it. I would. I know
it'd be their day one.
But yeah, I saw something recently that I thought was quite interesting, that like the perfect remake includes the original. And I thought that was a really interesting point. The idea that like if Resident Evil 2 remake came with a copy of the PS1 game.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And it's like, oh, like the Demon Souls remake came with and it's like, that's really interesting. Like, I think the Last of Us package that's coming later this year should also include Last of Us Remastered.
And also Last of Us.
Yeah. Oh, it's gonna be called Last of Us 2020 now.
500
2022. Oh god. But yeah, it's I would like it if the Dead Space remake came with it won't. Of course it won't. But like I would love that. But yeah, I would have been happy if they just announced a port.
Yeah.
If they had just announced a port of Dead Space 1, 2, and 3 and they were like, we're making a new title as well, I'd be like, great. The fact that it's a full-on remake of the first one, they showed off that little bit of footage. I'm like, I'm all for it. Give it to me. Hurry up. But yeah, I'm hoping for October. But it is like you said, I'm not even sure if they came out on the same day,
The thing is, there's no way they're going to release them on the same day.
No, of course not. But I would explode. I'd probably end up putting in Ragnarok first because it's an unknown entity.
Yeah.
But man, I'm really excited for this year. If everything hits that it's meant to, I think it's going to be a banger. I actually wrote a list of everything that is supposedly meant to come out in 2022.
I've got a little list on my phone.
You got anything else you want to mention? Obviously Breath of the Wild 2.
Yeah,
is said that it's coming this year. I think it needs to. And I actually think they also need to announce a new model of the Switch alongside it.
I don't think it'll come out alongside the console.
No.
I'm pretty sure this year is going to be the last full year for the base.
It needs to be. It needs to be. It completely. It's like it's struggling now.
Well, to be fair, it's always been kind of struggling.
Huh? Yeah, it has been. Yeah, since it first hit the market, and with things like Steam Deck coming this year, it's like they really need to up their game to keep that audience.
You reckon?
I think if you want third-party stuff to be any sort of viable option on Switch, you need to up the hardware. If you just want to double down and focus on first-party things, fine. First parties and indies, I think Nintendo will always be fine. But if they want to tap into that aspect of, hey, I can play Doom on the bus, they need to upgrade their hardware, because Steam Deck is going to come out swinging, and it's going to be, yeah, you can play it at 100, 60 frames, whatever, on the, like, while you're on the toilet taking a shit, like. You have to be able to somewhat compete with that, and they'd be lying to say that they weren't competing with that at that point.
I feel like I do feel like Steam Deck is a more specialized product.
Totally, yeah. Whereas I guess Switch is a lot more of a, like, market wide. Yeah, sure, I get that, and they have different focuses, of course, but it's just, as someone who has now become accustomed to 60 frames and very much appreciates performance above a lot of things, playing something like Metroid and getting like a stutter is like, what? Like, it's playing at 30 frames anyway or whatever it is, but it's just like, it's what? It shouldn't be. I don't want it anymore. And if they come out the gate and they go, hey, new Zelda's coming out, and then next year they go, hey, that Zelda game that came out that everyone loves and everyone gave a 10 out of 10, yeah, you can now play that at, like, great resolutions and great frame rates. Is like, the average consumer is not going to give a shit, but the people who care are really going to value it. So yeah, so Breath of the Wild sequel, I think, is a guaranteed IGN game of the year.
Yeah, either that or God of War.
Yeah. But the thing was, when Breath of the Wild came out, it came out a year before God of War and Red Dead and everything last time. So having those all back to back, I'm not really sure which is going to come out on top. But it is interesting. It is. I mean, it's interesting even just to think, like, the fact that they're competing, because, God of War doesn't exist without Zelda.
No.
And then, like, it kind of goes vice versa with some of those, like, big bosses, like, being conquered and stuff in Zelda. It's like, they're all kind of interchangeable. But I remember it's the same thing with, like, Resident Evil, where, like, when Dead Space 1 came out, they were just taking influence after influence from Resident 4. And then by the time that Resi 7 and other things were coming around, they were taking influence from Dead Space. And it was like, it's, I love that stuff. Self-fulfilling prophecy. Apparently also the Callisto Project Protocol or whatever it is coming this year. It's PUBG. It's PUBG by the people that made the original Dead Space, apparently.
Okay.
It's, so I don't know, but it's like EA making a Dead Space remake kind of kills that for me a little bit. I'm like, I don't care as much.
Like the actual, that's like that, even like really, that's like more of a true next Dead Space game than the actual Dead Space remake.
Probably, yeah. But it's the fact that they try and make it take place in the PUBG universe. It's why? I don't know why. Bayonetta 3 is supposedly hitting this year. I've only played like 70% of Bayonetta 1. I liked it enough. It's a platinum game. From what they've shown, it's going to go nuts, and I think it'll be a good time. But again, stuff like that I think gets limited by the hardware. Ghostwire Tokyo is coming this year.
Yeah, well, on my list. I'm excited for that. That looks like casting spells and shit.
Yeah. Tango Gameworks haven't let me down so far. I think both the Evil Withins are actually really great games.
Especially two. Two's really something.
Two's underrated. Like,
I feel like it's gone around to be. I feel like now it's rated now.
Okay. Adequately rated.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Two is really good.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I love two, but I'm very excited for the two DC games this year.
So I've got those as well. So supposedly Gotham Knights is coming out this year. What is nuts about Gotham Knights is that we've seen less of it than Suicide Squad.
Yeah. And I think I'm more excited for Suicide Squad now.
Totally. Because like, I don't know. What did you think of those trailers? Like, I mean, like this. I mean, all those characters. Yeah.
Having a good time, and all the characters interacting, and also just like seeing like all the different like all the abilities you can use, and it looks very visceral, and it is a Rocksteady game.
Yeah, and when you're watching those cutscenes, you're going, yeah, this feels like Rocksteady Batman. This feels like a fun, polished single player experience.
Yeah, and then with Gotham Knights, it kind of looks like Borderlands with a DC skin. That's a bit harsh, but like you can kind of see where I'm coming from there a little bit.
We will definitely play both.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And we'll probably play them together.
Yeah.
But I think Suicide Squad looks like it can be real fun. And if the plot actually is that you're killing the Justice League,
yeah.
I have a feeling it's going to be something like knock them out, and then you take out Brainiac at the end, and it all goes back to normal.
Yeah.
But if it is actually that you get to kill the Justice League, that's going to be a real fun like
Do they
narrative.
The Flash's brains in with Harley's bat, that'd be pretty good.
Yeah, it's cool shit. It just, those story trailers really sold me on it, and the tone of it and the way it all works. I'm like, if this is the quality of the storytelling, I'm down for it. It's annoying to me that I mean, I guess you can play it in single player, but it's annoying to me that it's does. I want every game to be a single player game if it's a narrative game. Ultimately, yeah. I think even the best like co-op narratives don't translate as well as they do when you're just on your own.
No,
I don't know. There's something that just because you have the inherent urge to just talk. But I think Suicide Squad will be really good, and I do hope it hits this year. And Gotham Knights, fucking whatever. I also hope that like we get an announcement from Bethesda this year that they are making Wolfenstein 3.
I think that'll happen. It's just been enough time.
Yeah, but it's like, where is it? It should have been announced like 2 years ago. It's been a long time. So I really hope they're doing something special with it. And I actually hope it takes place after Youngblood, because it almost makes no sense for it to take place before.
If they just kind of like erase Youngblood from like the canon, I'd be fine with that.
I don't think they can though, because of the way it ends.
I don't know how it ends.
I don't know.
I can't remember.
They basically like find alternate dimensions, and that's like what they're really like. Well, they can't save this one, so they're gonna go like move to another. I don't know, dumb shit. But they announced that like BJ killed Hitler.
Yeah, how can you skip that? That was like the end of the trilogy.
That's like, that should be the finale. You get old ass Hitler like pissing and farting about, gets into a giant mech and goes, "Let's fight." Legendary moment instantly.
Yeah.
But sorry, go on.
No, sorry, you continue.
I was going to say, it is really weird to me because Wolfenstein 2, I know it didn't sell amazingly, but it felt like, okay, here's a new engine, here's a new Wolfenstein game. And this feels like a part 2 to a finale.
Yeah.
And I thought they were doing that so that they could use that same engine, work around that groundwork, and be able to turn around the sequel quite quickly. And they haven't. So it's like, okay, what? Like, why did you put that much work into this?
Yeah, doesn't make sense.
But I do think Wolfenstein 3 needs to happen, and I do want it to come, by the end of 2023, to be honest. So also got Starfield is coming out at the end of this year. I don't care either, but like, I think it's the first time Bethesda have made a new IP for like RPG stuff in quite a long time.
Yeah, I guess, but
if it's sorry,
if it takes off well, that'd be interesting. I'm like, if the planet hopping and like exploring alien worlds looks fun, then it could be something. But
I mean, if it basically boils down to a Skyrim or Fallout where the main traversal is space stuff and space combat and things, automatically people are going to love it.
Yeah.
I personally look at Fallout and Skyrim and stuff, and I go, this doesn't do anything for me anymore.
No.
They feel so outdated in their model and like in the way they're designed now that it's not interesting.
No, I haven't played them in a few years, but I feel like I'd come away with a similar opinion.
Yeah.
They don't look that much interesting.
Go on.
No, I am quite excited for Stray though.
Stray's gonna rock.
Yeah. Just solving like environmental puzzles, a little cat and meowing, and that's great.
We don't get enough games where you get to play as a cat. The only one that I did, recently was you get to have the cat on your backpack in Miles Morales, and that's a great feature.
Yeah. I am apparently it's meant to be coming this year. I feel like it's going to be coming this year. But do you remember at the Game Awards 2020? They showed off that game where you play as a photojournalist and you're like on a bike. And
that looked really great,
and I feel like that might be coming this year because they're like
it should do. It looked really, really great. I remember that.
Yeah, that looks really interesting and very, very cool to look at. And I'll play that and cycle around cool places.
Yeah, I'm all for that.
Yeah,
I think as well, a lot of things that will come and surprise us will be things that get announced middle of the year, or
we don't really know what's coming out in the second.
No, but also like indies will come here and there, like Little Devil Inside, which was shown at the first like PlayStation 5 showcase, which is the one that kind of looks like it's like an Aardman animation or something.
Yeah.
But that looks really cool and still looked really cool to me, and I do want to play that. the other thing I've got here that I'm actually really excited to play, and I will pre-order, is the Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga.
Yeah, it looks the trailer looks cool as hell.
Did you watch they released a gameplay
Yeah, I
overview?
saw that. Yeah,
And I was like, this looks fucking cool.
they've overhauled it a hell of a lot.
It looks like the most in-depth like Star Wars like franchise game that has yet existed. And they've even got a mode that you turn like off the dialogue, so it just sounds like gibberish. But I think it just looks like a ton of fun. I don't have the connection to Star Wars that I once had, but like I am willing to just play through it and have a good time. And like
it looks like a good action adventure game.
Totally. And the fact that all the combat has a little bit of depth to it is enough that it's like, yo, I'm excited for this.
Yeah.
They've clearly been working on it for a long time as well.
Yeah, because I read a report about it, and apparently the developers put under a hell of a lot of crunch.
Oh shit!
To try and get it right, and they were given like a really the new engine which the game runs on, they were given like a half-finished engine to work with, and it's like no game's been made on this engine before, and it just hasn't worked out well at all. So like this is the only game that's going to be made on this new engine, and they're just swapping to Unreal Engine for all the other ones afterwards.
Oh wow!
It's such a pain to work with, which is why it was announced like 3 years ago, and it's only finally coming out.
That's a shame. I am still looking forward to it though. I think it as long as it carries a degree of polish and it's just a great Lego game with, you know, Sam is real excited for it, my housemate.
Yeah. I remember him being very excited about that. I remember him playing Lego Star Wars back when we were 7.
Bro, we watched that overview together. He's going nuts for it. This is a good year for Sam, bro. Like he loves Dying Light 1. It's one of his most played games on PlayStation. Yeah, I'm really excited for that. And I just it's finally a game where when I was a kid, I was always like, man, I want a video game where I can play the big jewels from the Star Wars movies. And it finally looks like they have some sort of depth with like saber combat. Great. There's a lot of rumors at the moment, and like a lot from multiple different sources, that Fallen Order 2 is going to get announced at E3 and it's going to come out in like November this year. Cool. I think I liked that first one enough. I think it was the best thing. It was like the best Star Wars story I'd seen in a while. And I think that if they just double down on it, add some new stuff, they need to put some polish on it, and then you're done. You've got a really good Uncharted Dark Souls ripoff.
I wasn't too hot on the game. I found it I kind of just turned it. I played most of the game on hard.
Yeah.
What's that fight where you're playing that guy who looks like Darth Maul? I can't remember what it is.
Okay.
In that, and I kept dying on it. I just couldn't be bothered anymore, so I just turned down to normal. But no, I wasn't crazy hot on the game, but
no.
But I'll be curious about a sequel.
I think that's what I mean. I think it lacks polish, and I think that it's like a 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
And so I think there's potential there to like evolve that combat system. I really want a lightsaber game that has like a Metal Gear Rising blade system, or even like the Skyward Sword system. It's just interesting. It makes sword combat interesting. And the last thing I have on my list that I am interested in looking at is Marvel's Midnight Suns.
That looks quite cool.
I'm
that. I think as long as they make like the base building stuff and like and the stuff away from the strategy game, there's like compelling as a strategy game, I'm sure it'll be really, really good.
I think it just, it's the XCOM team, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's just there's something about all of the elements of it coming together in the trailers and stuff that I'm just like, I'm into this. I want to play this.
The only other game that's on my list, that's not even confirmed for this year, but it's the new Dragon Quest 3 remake. That looks really, really pretty. I haven't played Dragon Quest 3 yet. Played 4, 1, and 2. I'm playing for 11, but those are really good games, and I want to play 3 a lot. That looks good. I want to play that.
Do you? We're probably also going to get Resi 8 DLC this year.
Yeah, no, I had that on it. Yeah, no, that should come. Was it RE-verse? Can't wait for that.
If that's still coming, I reckon by the time we see that again, if we do see it again, it's going to look completely different.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm not sure why they did that. Maybe it's because they were just like, you know what, this is going to negatively affect the reception. Let's hold on to this until we're ready to do something with it. And when I was playing Village, I didn't feel like I was missing something.
No.
No. So
I mean, it is a separate game, I guess. But
yeah.
like, it's not good.
But I hope they come back and it is like a really great, competent, I don't know, horde shooter or something. Like that's what
it feels like Resident Evil.
horde shooter. You get to play as Leon and Claire going through the police stations shooting hordes. I'd play that with you. I'd have a great time with you. And it has like really rudimentary like upgrade stuff where it's like you get new abilities or you get like new weapons or like cosmetics for your weapons and your characters. That's all it needs to be. All it needs to be. And I'd play it. I play a shit ton of it. They should do an Ethan Winters skin, which just has he just has like a blacked out face. Yeah, that would be really funny. But yeah, I think that'll come. I do reckon we'll get the actual DLC this year. The fact that they've been working on it now, I'm not sure what it'll be, but hey, I'm hopeful, and eventually we're gonna get a Resi 9 announcement. Probably in 2 or 3 years, yeah. Because the I think right now the Resi 4 remake is slated for next year, which we know is in development.
I hope so. We'll play that.
Yeah, I'm curious as well. Resi, I didn't even mention it, but the Resi Oculus, Resi 4 Oculus version is a real cool experience. I didn't finish it, but I got what it was and I was like, yeah, this is really cool. I want more stuff like this.
Yeah. So what kind of like unconfirmed stuff are you hoping for this year?
So I already said I want Wolfenstein 3 to be announced.
Yeah.
I kind of do want Sony to have this big end of year thing with Last of Us happening. I hope honestly, I would love for Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah.
But didn't they do a statement about that really recently?
Yeah, they did a it was at the end of last year. They said I think they said they're mostly finished with the game. It's just like a lot of portion they want to do.
Yeah.
Out the second half.
But they said there will be news
soon.
Yeah. Did they say it was coming out second half of this year? I don't think they've announced that, but
I think they would have announced the release date by now if it was coming out.
Yeah. I really hope. I mean, I hope it comes out second half of this year.
Noted.
And then I also hope that they announce Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2.
Yeah, that's what I'm mostly looking for. As soon as that trailer drops, I'm gonna be so fucking happy, bro.
Which is so crazy because when the first trailer for the remake originally dropped, I couldn't give a shit.
No, I was 15. I
didn't give a fuck. And comparing that to now, I'm gonna go nuts for it.
Yeah.
As soon as we start seeing gameplay and shit,
Yeah.
I think what they should do is on the final part of the remake, right? They need to make it so that after you finish the game, you have like a Sephiroth campaign or you can play a Sephiroth. Because in the original Final Fantasy VII, it was like a constant thing of like how to play a Sephiroth, the hidden cheat, and it was all fake, right? But every kid who loved Final Fantasy VII was fascinated by it and wanted to play a Sephiroth, right? If they double down on it, or just make like a battle mode where you can play a Sephiroth, it's gonna be so cool.
Isn't that just kind of Kingdom Hearts?
You can't play a Sephiroth in Kingdom Hearts.
You know? Oh, I thought you could. Okay.
You can fight him, but that's about it. Fucking Kingdom Hearts. How dare you bring out Kingdom Hearts in front of me?
Like Donald Duck, like talking with Sephiroth in like Kingdom Hearts.
Sephiroth?
Yeah. No, I'm like I cannot wait for more Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, so I really hope 16 hits because we've only got one trailer for it and that blew me away. It's really lovely to see Final Fantasy being like alive and strong.
Yeah, it's been going so long.
Yeah, but like the fact that it feels like it's at a really strong like prestige point now, where it's like they're focusing on quality now.
Yeah, mostly definitely for the mainline games.
Yeah, I reckon then E3 will get a gameplay trailer for Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, I want to see more of that, and I want to see more of Alan Wake 2 as well.
Yes, Alan Wake 2, I think it's going to be really interesting. And I also hope that maybe we'll get like a small snippet teaser of what Wolverine looks like.
Yeah, maybe later in the year.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Even if it's just at E3 and they just show off like you know that first ever trailer for the PS4 Spider-Man game where it was like a 30-second sizzle reel and Spider-Man. That's all I want. I just want to kind of get an idea of what we're like expecting. Yeah, I don't know about other like surprise announcements. I really hope Halo Infinite goes nuts this year. I hope they hit their second season and they've changed a lot and they got a whole new host of content and I get back into it because I had a really great time with Halo. But I also hope that Factions for Last of Us comes out and Sony has like a really good first party multiplayer game.
Yeah, I am. I'm like, I feel like it's like really silly. This hasn't happened in 6 years, 7 years, but like, I really want just like a new solo Batman game. It doesn't even need to be Rocksteady, just like a new game where you get to be Batman.
I don't think it'll happen.
No,
not definitely wouldn't be in like.
But like,
I don't know. I mean, we got to remember the Batman film is coming in 2 months, which I'm really excited for. I can't. Have you seen that tweet that's like, how long are these fucking riddles? How like difficult are they to solve? It's 3 hours long. How and I just the idea of it's 3 hours of Robert Pattinson just stood there like trying to comprehend like. I don't get it. I don't get it. But I saw a clip. There was like a sneak peek clip, and I was watching it. I was like, this feels really interesting.
Right.
It's like 5 minutes of the film, and I was like, this feels really interesting. Okay. And like Robert Pattinson is like putting both balls into it because it's basically a scene where he doesn't say a single thing as Bruce Wayne, and like you can tell exactly what he's thinking, and it's like, okay. Right. I have a high hope it's going to be good.
I wasn't like too excited about it, but like I was in the Lego store in Southampton yesterday, and I was like looking at the Lego sets for a bit too long.
Bro, I'm literally they've got like an £80 like Batmobile.
Yeah.
I'm going to get it.
This is a cool one.
I really want to go to Lego store. Man, I'm jealous. I've just been thinking I really want to get a Lego set.
Yeah, building a Lego Seinfeld set, and it's like it's still a bit to go, but that's a lot of fun.
It's just meditative, right?
Yeah.
I really want to get that Batmobile one and just sit with it. And the one I really would love to get is the Daily Bugle Spider-Man one. Have you seen that?
I think so.
It's
like that,
it's just like a skyscraper. Like the cheapest you can get it for is like £300 now because scalpers bought it. But it's like every single room has a little reference, and then all along the sides of every single villain, and like just really cool. But cute. I probably will get the Batmobile one because I just want to sit and like make something cool. The Seinfeld set.
Yeah, it's fucking rocks.
If they did a Paddy's Pub set, I'd buy that. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, the only few things that kind of still stick out to me is like I'd like those remasters of Twilight Princess and Wind Waker to come search.
That would be good.
Properly. And I also hope all this PlayStation backwards compatibility stuff turns out to be true, because that could be really something. I'd like that.
I'd really be happy if it was. I'd be really happy if they just went, hey, your PS1 discs will work in your PS5. And I doubt that. I doubt that because I reckon it'd be a lot easier for them to just do like digital emulation. But I'd love that because I've got all my PS1 discs right here. I'm gonna be putting in PS1 Spider-Man and going nuts.
I fucking love. Oh man, if I could buy that game again, I'll play that.
PS1 Spider-Man is so good.
It's a fucking good game.
So good.
So much as a kid. So much, bro.
I'm looking at my vast collection of games and just thinking, what do I want to see more of?
Titties.
I do want to see more titties in my life. What do you reckon Ubisoft are going to do this year? Because they're like, I don't really give a fuck. Because like they're doing that like big, so they're doing an expansion for Assassin's Creed Syndicate Valhalla, which is apparently longer than Origins. Yeah, bro. I'm like, oh my fucking god.
There's a new Mario and Rabbids game coming out this year, but
that's true. Yeah. There's also rumors that Bungie are working on making a full-on Destiny 3.
I mean, I'd be very interested in seeing what that had.
If they do release it and it's another clean slate, I will buy it because
Yeah.
I miss Destiny with all my heart. And if I have a chance to get in from a ground floor again, I will take it.
That'd be very tempting.
Yeah. Cyberpunk is supposedly meant to have its full edition coming this year. What a fucking clusterfuck that is.
Yeah. It's so funny because like even like that Tim Rogers video on it, which is probably about 10 hours for all the parts.
Yeah.
It just kind of like he does like this whole 10-hour video. And it's just like, yeah, I kind of liked it. It was all right.
I hope we see what Kojima's working on.
Yeah, that'd be really something.
And I'd really like if Silent Hill did something. I'd really like if Konami did something. And Bluepoint are working on something new.
They're doing a new IP, aren't they?
Well, they're not doing a new IP. There's very careful wording about it. What they're saying is they're working on a new project, which means it might not be it won't be a remake, but it could be in an existing franchise. So apparently, they're not Fire Spike Games or something. They're working on a Twisted Metal game.
I'm gonna play that.
And yeah, supposedly Bluepoint could apparently be working on, because after Demon Souls, apparently they got a lot of blessing from. There's rumors, as there always are, that you know what I'm going to say.
What are you going to say?
That they're going to work on Bloodborne 2.
Wow, Bloodborne 2, come on.
Apparently, there's rumors and leaks all over the shop, but apparently they're working on a remake they're working on a remaster of Bloodborne.
Yeah, I can see that.
And then they also be given the right by From to work on Bloodborne 2.
All right.
I don't agree with the second part. I think Bloodborne is overdue a remaster at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would really love if someone was working on a Metal Gear or something. Do you remember the Abandoned game? Do you remember the demo for that?
Yeah, the 5-second teaser.
Fucking ridiculous. I think everyone at the same point when they downloaded that app and it was the same video we'd seen on Twitter, everybody just went, all right, never mind.
I saw on Christmas Day they put a Twitter post saying that a playable demo is coming soon. So
great. Can't wait. There's a lot of indies I'm interested in. I back Ill on Kickstarter, which is that like really like photorealistic like survival horror game, the one with like the super realistic like gore graphics. You sent it to me a while ago.
I can't remember this.
It's like a first person survival horror with like really like realistic visuals.
Well, it was an ILO.
Yeah. But I backed them on Kickstarter.
Okay, right.
They're working towards something this year, which I'm interested in playing. And also there's a game called Stray Souls, which is made by, I think it's a French or Chinese developer. But that's,
I remember this.
yeah. So there's a few like indie horror games with like good budgets and stuff that are coming that I'm interested in. So will be good. Yeah. I think we've spoken more than enough.
Yeah.
About last year in this. Oh, okay. Well, I'll let you go to it. But yeah, I think we got a good year ahead of us. I think games tend to move in every other year is a banger at the moment. So I think we're in for a banger year.
Yeah.
But I think we're in for a real banger. So yeah. All right, Harrison Thorne, thank you for talking with me. Thank you for listening. If you listen for the whole, 2 hours of this, then you're a real champ. I don't know who's doing that. These normally get like 30 views. So someone out there's interested. Thank you for watching, listening, whatever you did. Go listen to my album.
You should. It's good.
It is. Bye-bye now.
Yeah.